Hi, my name is Natasha Thompson, and my presentation is on wilderness first aid. And as you can see, I am out here deep in the wilderness in the Cumberland Mountains, and I stayed out here last night, hiked 4.5 miles down the mountain, and I'm currently hiking 4.5 miles back up the mountain, so I'm worn out. Aside from that, talking about wilderness first aid, luckily on this journey we didn't have any need for wilderness first aid aside from some blister patches, moleskin, things like that. But if it were to be a situation where we needed wilderness first aid, it's important for someone to know the basics of wilderness first aid, when to use wilderness first aid, when to sit tight, when to evacuate somebody, and basically preparing a first aid kit that you could use out here. I don't have my outline in front of me right now, so I just wanted to do this little introduction, and then when I get out of here, I'm gonna finish and I will go in a little more detail. Hi, I'm back and made it out okay, and I'm ready to go into some more information about wilderness first aid. And according to Expedition in Wilderness Medicine, wilderness first aid is life-saving knowledge the non-professional rescuer can use to assist an ill or injured person in the backcountry by being prepared and making important decisions until professional emergency help can arrive. Wilderness first aid is for the average individual that spends time out in an outdoor setting. If a person were to become ill or injured in the backcountry, it could be hours or even days before professional help could arrive. And it's not for learning this knowledge is not just for individuals in the park or the national or state park level. It's for anyone that's interested in learning the skills, spends time in a remote setting, and has the confidence and compassion to respond in emergency situations. The everyday outdoorsman is likely to be the first person to come across an individual in need of emergency help in the remote mountains and forests we have here in Tennessee, and anywhere really. The people that are going to be the ones to stumble across it are going to be the people that are out there in it. So by learning the important knowledge of wilderness first aid, the average individual can save lives in an environment where all hope may otherwise be lost. The wilderness presents such unique situations where it is so far from emergency help and where resources are so limited. Individuals trained in wilderness first aid should be prepared for any number of emergencies they may come across, because you never know what you're going to find out there. It's important to understand that with the remoteness of the wilderness, first aid providers will be faced with limited resources. So you'll have what you're carrying on your back and what you can find out there in the backcountry. An individual can be prepared to respond to wilderness emergencies by adequately assembling a reasonable first aid kit with the most critical supplies, because you do want it to be lightweight. You're going to be carrying it on your person with your pack that you would normally carry. It's got to be durable to withstand any number of elements you may come across out there. And again, you need to be able to understand knowledge of utilizing materials you would find out there in the forest, because you're not going to have a lot of options out there. Let's see here. I have there was 2 sources that agreed on this last point I have. It's wilderness medicine and wilderness first aid when you can't call 911. And basically, wilderness first aid responders must also be dedicated and able to make important life-saving decisions until professional emergency help can take over. In a remote setting, the provider assumes the care of an ill or individual. You need to be willing to dedicate yourself to the task at hand until professional help can take over, because sometimes it's going to take longer than a traditional first aid experience would take, because it is so remote, and because it could be hours, days before professional help can arrive. And a provider Also needs to have the knowledge of when the situation may require immediate evacuation of the ill or injured person and when it's best to stabilize the person and sit tight and wait for help to arrive. So that's where you're going to expand on some of the things you may come across out there and familiarize yourself when exactly you need to get that person going best you can to try to get them out, or when to just sit there and keep them stable until professional help arrives or some other sort of help will arrive. A wilderness first aid is not for the faint of heart, but for the individuals with compassion for mankind and fellow outdoorsmen. By learning the skills, being prepared, and knowing how to make the important decisions necessary, the non-professional rescuer can practice wilderness first aid in remote outdoor settings and help save lives. I think it is one of the most important skills someone that spends time outdoors can learn. And I hope to go in more information on this in the upcoming presentations, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen. I hope you all have a great day.